we got on the vote.
Now call to order the Committee of the Whole. It's June 5th, 2023. The time is 7 p.m. Ben, would you please call the roll?
Member Schroy?
Here.
Member Arndt?
Here.
Member Matheny?
Here.
Member Volt?
Here.
Member McLeister?
Here.
Member Wyrick?
Here.
Member Warren?
Here.
7 present.
Okay, let's start out with finance and property.
Okay. Gina, do you want to handle this one? It's really just pretty basic.
Yeah, the CIC owns this property, and this is the corner, Williman, where the roundabout will be, and so the CIC is going to transfer the property to the city.
Okay. Pretty basic. Any questions? Are we excited about a roundabout? So, Dave, I'm with you.
Body shops
Yes. I know, but they have the least chance of accidents. Do you know that? Yeah, crazy. Okay, any issues? All right.
I want to put it on record that my mom is terrified of roundabouts.
I understand. Yes. Or you're mad at people that don't understand roundabouts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we'll put that on the agenda. And then the second one is
Do you need a motion?
do we need a motion?
The
Sorry.
motion is to be placed on the agenda.
Sorry.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and then 3B. Sorry to swallow. Just moving some expenses for the fiscal year. Gina, anything regarding?
Yes, this is for 2 new radios, one for the fire department and one to replace one in the police department.
How do those typically last, Chief?
One of the replacing was from when Chief Grimes and Chief Bacon originally put Mark's radio system. in our
Wow.
city.
Wow.
Over probably plus 12 years.
Okay, so just updating, there's new,
We knew we were gonna have to, down the road, replace these radios because they were getting dated. We were outside of the manufacturer's keeping repair parts. This one finally went, we tried to fix it a couple different ways, and we can't transmit on it.
okay.
How many more do you
great.
have that age?
One that's a couple years younger than that one.
Something we should consider for budgeting going forward then.
Okay,
One
all right,
quick
can I
comment.
have a motion? Oh, do you have a question?
Yeah, more of a comment than a question. We all read in our excellent newsletter, delivered to our residents, the importance of economic development. And I just want to point out on this little $18,000 purchase, that's the equivalent of 29 jobs, $40,000 a year. That's what it takes to make the place run. And that's why every job that we have in the community, large or small, is important. 29 jobs gets us $18,000 worth of rate.
It's a great way of describing it.
Mhm.
It's a great way of describing it.
Okay, that was my comment. No question. You need a motion, which I will make.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on to 4A. This is repealing and replacing chapter 907. Ben, I will let you give the overview on that. Go on.
I was approached by 2 sewer contractors that came to the window and wanted to speak to council's office to file a complaint. Not totally uncommon, but what was very refreshing was that they also brought a solution with them. So currently, for road opening permits, street excavations, of which sewer contractors are our main users, the only option is to give a cash bond. So in this example, one of the gentlemen I was talking to works for Roto-Rooter. If he had 3 jobs in the city, all with $5,000 cash bonds, that's $15,000 of capital he had to have tied up just to do 3 jobs in cash. So he asked that we change the ordinance to allow for commercial bonds. So I ran the traps, talking to all the departments, and pretty much the general sentiment was, yes, why don't we do this? That would be a lot easier, because then I don't have to do a refund. I just have to sign the line at the bottom of the bond that says release.
Great.
So here we are. We're bringing to you a suggestion to amend our ordinance that would allow either a cash bond or a commercial bond, whatever your preference may be.
And that's what we do for other situations when they're building. Like, we don't make builders put down X amount of money.
Correct.
And
So
we
like
release it, so it's very similar to what we do.
the next 3 items are sidewalk bonds for a
Yeah.
developer that we
Yeah.
didn't make them put up cash. We made them put up a bond.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are there
It's
any other
important to
things we can do?
note, if I can, it's important to note what Ben mentioned, the Roto-Rooter, that was a franchisee. So when you're a smaller franchisee, that's a lot of capital.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Large developers have that.
Well, that's just assuming that they have 2 or 3 in the city of North Canton. What about other cities and other,
Right.
other areas? So I mean, that could be a significant amount of money,
So
so.
they did bring that solution. That's
Mhm.
great.
So Ben, are there any other services like that where we are making them do cash that this could be another option for?
I was not able to find any others where cash was the only option.
Okay.
This appeared to be the last one that was cash.
funny.
Any comments, questions?
One other thing is that if you're a resident and you're soliciting quotes, this would probably make it more competitive. Because again, that small business person can compete in this space.
Mhm.
Whereas only the larger companies that have cash.
Yeah.
They actually control or influence.
And that's a really good point. I mean, the thing that stuck out to me as I was reading through this is, this line right here in the cover page, found that switching to a commercial bond would not only save the city time and costs, but it prevent contractors from being able to tie up this capital. I mean, so that is like a win for the city. We're saving time, we're saving money, but it's also saving, the money being tied up from the contractors. And I think we've all heard the comments from people from time to time that North Canton is not friendly toward contractors. And man, this is just one step in the right direction, or one of many steps in the right direction, I should say. But
So the second change, which was also proposed by the contractors I talked to, is under our current ordinance, the bond amount is set by Rob based on what they're proposing to do. So this means that bonds could be very different based on what house you're doing where. The example the gentleman from Rotorua gave me was he did one house had $1,000 bond. 3 houses down the street had a $5,000 bond because there was a manhole right in front of that.
Mhm.
That made it difficult to know how much the permit was going to be when pricing for customers, because they had to say, I don't know, I got to go into the permits office first. So the proposal also standardizes bond amounts to just flat 10,000 for a minor job, 25,000 for a major job.
Can you define major and minor how?
The engineer would still choose major, minor based on how close you are to a manhole or a water line, or basically how much damage could you cause if you did something wrong. And then there is a caveat in there that for truly huge projects, so for example, Dominion coming through and ripping up a whole neighborhood, we will set the bond amount at that time at some higher amount than 25,000 because that is such a large project. Or if you were going to tap into a concrete water main, that's a lot more dangerous to tap into a 12-inch concrete water main than a 4-inch iron water main.
Anything else? Any other comments, questions? I'll make a motion that we put this on the agenda.
Hold a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so moving on to 4B, C, D. Let's group these together and then we'll vote on them individually. They're all for, Ben, I'll let you take this. They're all for entering in amended and restated sidewalk bonds.
Mhm.
Yeah, so this is exactly what we just did for phase 3. The developers essentially release their bond for phase 3, and they're like, oh, wait a minute, we got 4 other phases that you're also holding lots on that we'd like to sell. So all 3 of these bonds will be converted from lots to commercial bonds. And they have requested an emergency because the lots for phase 1 and 2 are already under contract. So they would like them released as soon as possible in order to sell.
Okay, pretty basic. Any comments, questions? I'm going to make a motion that we move item 4B to the council agenda
With an emergency clause.
with the emergency.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Then I'm going to make a motion to move 4C to the agenda with the emergency clause.
So moved.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. And then finally, I'm going to make a motion to move 4D to the council agenda with an emergency clause.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on to 4E. This is kind of exciting, actually. So this deals with turning on red, no turn on red. I'm going to bring to everybody's attention on page 40. It shows the highlighted changes in the chart.
Are you able to put it up on the screen?
Thank you.
Okay.
So as you can see, there's going to be 3 different lines here. Ben, I'll let you take this, but I am very excited to learn that we're addressing this because this needed to be addressed.
So this started with Patrick had initially asked me to draft an ordinance to repeal the no turn on red at Charlotte and Maine because we're putting in the right turn lanes, and that would sort of defeat the purpose of the right turn lanes if you couldn't turn right on red. But then that in hunting down the ordinance that established that prohibition, it turned into a conversation of, well, how many of these exist in the city, and then turned into a wider conversation with Rob of how many of them are still needed. So the ordinance before you tonight proposes to keep 3 of the prohibitions of no turn on red. So those are the 3 in green.
And they don't have a turn lane.
None of these have a dedicated turn lane. Well, Clearmont will have a dedicated, but only in one direction of the T intersection.
Okay.
So Main and Maple, the town square, will still be prohibited right turns at all times. Maple and Clearmont will be prohibited right turns during school hours on weekdays. That's what the 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. means. And Hillcrest and Maple will be prohibited right turns during school hours on weekdays. All of the rest will be repealed.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Any comments, questions?
So Ben, why do you think the ones were previously repealed? So we had looked at those, we just hadn't looked at them as a grouping before? Or is this just, we just had to dig a little bit deeper and that's the changes?
In 2018, so the progression of this is that ordinance 3,544 was passed. The next one amends that one, and then 2018 amends that one, and
Okay.
now this one amends that. So it's sort of been a changing list as the years have gone by based on traffic flows and signalization, and where schools are located was a large part of it.
Okay.
I'm guessing Hillcrest and Maple is keeping the no turn on red because of the middle school, like the children walking from the middle school.
Because there will be
there will also
Charlotte
be
now,
in elementary.
and that's still really in that area the best place to cross north-south Maple in that neighborhood.
So Main and 7th though also has a lot of students crossing, correct?
Correct, but that intersection has push to cross buttons. Hillcrest and Maple only has one push to cross button in one direction, not in both directions.
Okay.
We do have a crossing guard at Hillcrest and Maple.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Chief.
But okay, so the push to cross button, that's what there is at Maple and Maine as well, right? Like,
Maple, Maine, yeah.
yeah. So we're keeping it there, I assume, because I shouldn't be making all of these assumptions, but it makes sense to me because as a frequent walker, when the light is red, I can safely cross if it says cross. However, if it's 7th and Main where we have the push to cross, you can't have a little walking man telling you can cross, but if someone's turning red on red, you can't, correct?
Well,
I mean, you
if,
have to be careful.
if you're a pedestrian and you have the walking man, you have right of way over whoever's turning right on red.
But the walking man, but the right.
It's an industry term.
It is an industry. It is. Okay.
Maine is being kept for two reasons.
Mm-hmm.
On the west side, you still have buildings very close to the intersection that make it difficult to see. And then also that intent of a pedestrian-centric town
Mhm.
square.
Okay.
I have a question.
Mhm.
I'm looking at the Main and Everhard intersection southbound. We have signal arrows that allow you to go right.
Yeah.
What you're going to do, however, is that signal arrow is not lit. You can go right on red, correct?
If the signal arrow is red and there is nobody turning left, you may turn right.
I would suggest that you revisit that because traffic moves at a fairly good clip south to north. And there's a lot of activity at that intersection. And I think it may be very easy for a motorist to miss the cue and make the turn and pull into traffic that has a green arrow to make a left.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Main and Everhard intersection. I would,
I'm agreeing with you, Daryl, because you really got to pull far from, if you're heading south on Main Street.
Yeah.
You really got to pull far forward to make a right-hand turn onto Everhard, and those that are heading north on Main Street only have that one lane to pull into, and that's the lane that those making a right-hand turn would be in. So
you got it.
Yeah.
you can see here,
Mm-hmm.
you have to pull way forward beyond the stop line to make that turn.
And I think if you think about that intersection, that's unique compared to the other ones on the list.
It definitely is,
Yeah.
yeah.
For the sake of expediency, if you're looking for a motion, I would make a motion that we set aside the Main and Everhard intersection, adopt the other changes as recommended, and then we can revisit that. We can, we'll just, let's do, I guess, we're not gonna do this on emergency here.
No.
No, so we can come back to it, re-amend the ordinance if we want. Let's think
Oh,
about it.
yes, this is.
Okay, well then we'll just come back and revisit again. Maybe we could all drive it. I'll pay a little more attention when we go through it and see that I make a lot of right turns on Everhard Road. That's when I go home after I've been to the library.
So you would like Maine and Everhard kept.
Excuse me?
You would like the prohibition kept on Maine and
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm recommending is that we advance this. My recommendation is that we advance this to the next council meeting. My motion is to be advanced with Maine and Everhard kept deleted from the ordinance.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so two things before we adjourn. One is the mayor wanted to make some comments.
Thank you, President Wright. Just a couple of things to make sure you're aware of. The North Canton Fire Department, they're gonna conduct the hydrant fill test at Mount Pleasant and Frank Avenue. by the airport on Wednesday, June the 7th, at approximately 5 a.m. So again, nearby city water customers should check their water for discoloration or for laundering, but this one's a little closer to home. Also on Wednesday, hydrant flow will be conducted by the fire department. It's gonna be up by Dogwood, in the pool Wednesday, and that's June 7th. And that's also in the morning from about 5:45 to 7. And again, any nearby water customers should check their water for discoloration before laundering. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that in your area. And there is going to be a ribbon cutting for the Goodwill Bookstore and Donation Center. They've located out at the 2022-07 East Maple Street. It's in the where the post office is. It's in that little complex there. And they're doing their ribbon cutting on Wednesday at 5 o'clock. So just wanted to make council aware of that. And that's my announcement. Thank you.
Thank you. We are going to, let's just add it. There's a great chance that we're going to have a committee meeting before break. So let's tentatively add a committee of the whole meeting for June 26th, and we'll double up with the regular committee meeting there. So if you look at
the
the
regular council.
regular council meeting. So we'll have a regular council meeting on the 12th. Then we will have Juneteenth, so we won't have a meeting there. And then we'll come back on the 26th and we'll have both meetings, committee of the whole and a regular council meeting on the 26th. So is that okay with
Yep,
everyone?
sounds good.
Yeah, the public hearing also on the 26th.
Yes, true. Yes, thank you.
It's at 6:45.
Yes.
There are 3 items on that.
Three items on the public hearing. Okay. So the public hearing, committee of the whole, and then the regular council. Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.